Oddsbreaker, Frank Trigg, of course, says TJ Dillashaw getting ready to fight Renan Barao. Coming up here on UFC 173. TJ, it's a Monday. Is Sunday still a rest day for you, or are you one of those guys that shifted to working out on Sundays as well?
Earlier in my camp, I was working out on Sundays. Now that I'm close enough to my fight, I'm taking Sundays off, making sure I'm rested enough and feeling good coming into Monday's practice. Making sure I don't get overworked. You know, when I'm further out, I could keep the grind going 6 days a week, but now that I'm getting closer, I got to do a little more resting, make sure I feel healthy.
How much more resting are you doing?
I'm sticking to like two days, two training times a day. When I was doing three before sometimes, and now I won't do over two, and I'll do sometimes one time a day, just depending on how my body feels. Now that I'm 3 weeks out.
Are you the only gauge of how your body feels, or does Dwayne actually look at you sometimes when you're warming up and tell you to get out?
Dwayne does a good job of that as well. Mainly myself, I've done this long enough now to where I know if I'm feeling overtrained, if I'm not excited about going into the gym and just kind of dragging ass a little bit, But Dwayne can tell as well. He'll see that I'm tired and a little bit overworked and tell me to go take the rest of the day off or, go hit the golf course or something, get my mind off of training.
You're obviously the main event with Renan Barao. The co-main event is Henderson Cormier. Does that put an added pressure on you, knowing that you got two really tough veterans essentially in the sport now? That big name guys right before you, they're going to have a great fight. Does that put a little extra pressure on you to make sure that your fight's exciting as well?
I guess so. I'm pretty excited about it though. It's cool to be above those guys and be the main event over guys that I've watched. I watched Dan Henderson fight forever now.
Yeah.
I grew up watching the guy fight, and now I'm on a card and I'm the headliner, and he's the co-main event. So it's a little crazy to me. I wouldn't say it's like added pressure, but it's a lot of excitement. I try not to add any pressure on performance base and just go out there and give it my all. I don't think that I'll have a problem making it entertaining.
Well, it's obviously UFC 173. It's May 24th. It's here in Las Vegas at MGM Garden Arena. It's a huge, huge weekend as far as the fight game goes. To watch all these guys compete on your card, not only do you have Holdsworth as your teammate, but then Jeremy Varner and James Krause, then Ellenberger and Lawler and Henderson Cormier, and of course you guys running off the card. To me, at least, starting with the first fight all the way through to the 12th fight, yours being the 12th, it's an incredible card. It just kind of progressively builds. Do you sometimes look at these other cards when you're not fighting and get excited about these other guys fighting as well? These other cards that obviously when you're on, it's a little bit different because you got to worry about your game plan and stuff. But these other cards, when these other fights are going off, you look at some of these cards and go, "Wow, I wish I could go to that one and watch that one live too."
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the cards are that way. I'm a big fan of the sport, and so when I see guys that are entertaining and guys I've liked watching a fight, I want to be there front row. I wish I could travel to all the fights if I wasn't in camp. Anytime I'm not in camp, I'd love to be there at the fights.
Okay. With Alpha Male, who is the guy that we really haven't seen yet that we're going to be talking about, we're going to be hearing about here in next 6 months or so?
That it's not in the UFC.
Yeah.
Next 6 months, that's tough. I think one of my toughest training partners right now is Eric Sanchez, and he's only 1-0 as a pro. So it's going to be a little while till he gets to the UFC, but we'll definitely be talking about that guy's name. We have a stacked room full of younger guys that no one knows about, but it comes to top of my mind, I'd say Eric Sanchez. Eventually we'll be talking about him. I wouldn't say 6 months, but he's going to make a rise big time.
And what's the toughest thing about Eric? You said he's one of your toughest training partners. What makes him so tough?
He's really athletic, and he's got nothing to lose right now. He's that young guy in the gym that's learning that he's good and it performs well and brings it hard. He's one of those guys that, sometimes you can get in the gym and intimidate your training partners and go hard enough to where they'll back off and you can beat him up a little bit. But he's that young athletic kid that if you go hard, he's going to go just as hard back and gives me some athletic sparring. He's probably my best training partner for this camp.
Now, T, let's talk about Renan Barao a little bit. Does Eric have to mimic some of Renan's style just to get you prepared? Or when it comes to using Eric, you really don't care? It's just whatever he brings to the table is going to be good enough for the fight?
Pretty much. We do tell him to do certain things. He's already good at throwing like good spin kicks, for example, and he's taller, he's a rangy fighter, so he kind of mimics him naturally. Which I don't want to change up too much of what Eric does because then it's not real sparring. I know what's coming and my reaction times will be different. Obviously, I know what Barao likes to throw, and I got to look out for that. But I don't want to change up my sparring too much with the guys because then it's too predictable and too easy, you know. So
Right.
I want him to stick to what he's good at and just bring it. So my timing's there.
Every training camp, especially on a point like this with Renan, do you specifically go to guys and go, look, every practice you've got to be here, or every Tuesday, Thursday, I got to have you in specifically to be one of my training partners, or are the guys always showing up all the time? You just pick your handful.
That's the great thing about our gym is that we have so many guys that there'll be someone there to always work with, but and we're held accountable. Dwayne makes sure you're showing up for the other guys. We got a good little family going on, and if someone's got a fight coming up, I got to be there for them. They got to be there for me, and it's just that's why we're all getting so much better is that we hold each other accountable for each other's camps, and we're always supporting each other. So yeah, I don't really have to worry about it. I just gotta make myself show up. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's TJ Dillashaw is getting ready to fight Renan Barao coming up here near UFC 173, May 24th. Obviously, it can be seen on pay-per-view, as always, with the UFC. TJ, thanks for coming on with here, and I appreciate it, man. Have a good rest of the day.
Dude, no problem. I always love coming on.